Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I'm the Gothic Rose, and this is the hot mess of Hollywood. Yes, dear fiends of the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network is a channel where the news meets conspiracy theories. It makes babies in my brain and it comes out my mouth. We explore the darkest stories from the deepest corners of Hollywood and the world. If you like this sort of entertainment, be sure to like, follow, and hit that bell because I am not going to stop. Hello, dear fiends of the Den. It's me, the Gothic Rose, and I'm back with a hot mess of Hollywood. But guess who is not getting burned today? Anyone, because I'm tired of talking about celebrities and their issues. So, what I've realized is you guys don't know about my acting career way back in the day. So, I'm going to spill a little of that hot mess. So I thought I would tell you why I am so into Hollywood history and Hollywood current events itself is because I grew up on stage. I was the tiny dancer. I was a ballerina and a tap dancer since I was 3 years old. I did not take to ballet quite as well. I have very short hamstrings, so when I tried to dance on point, I actually couldn't straighten my knees when I was up on my toes. That is how short my hamstrings are. Can't do splits, anything like that. But I was a fantastic little tap dancer. Only 5 feet tall, though. So actually, being a professional dancer was more than likely not going to happen. But from the time I was 3 until the time I was 18, and I maybe skipped a year in there, I was in June dance recitals in my town's like high school. They would rent out, my dance school would rent out the high school and put on this amazing production with adult dancers, with kid dancers, with she would put this show together. My dance teacher, her name is Dorothy Jaggy, and she ran Miss Dorothy's School of Dance, and she was a rockette. So she put together these productions just in our small towns, our small city of Mount Vernon, New York. She would put together these productions that would literally rival Broadway shows. No one did it like Miss Dorothy. I mean, she would not only put dances together, but she would put dances together with three different classes, all different ages. It was just amazing. The costumes all coordinated. She was great with reusing costumes for 2 or 3 years, so we didn't have to buy too many. And Miss Dorothy's School of Dance was my first job at 14 years old. I would teach on Mondays after high school, and I would teach little kids. I would teach 2 and 3 year olds dance classes, and I had a class of 3 boys that Miss Dorothy allowed me to choreograph a dance for them and put it in the show, and I felt like the greatest person on earth. I felt like Paula Abdul, one of my idols, by the way, because she tap dances. So I went on to become a theater major, but I chose a school that I don't think was right for me. It was an all women's school. It was Marymount College in Tarrytown, New York, which is now closed, but I believe that there's still a Manhattan campus open, if I'm correct. So anyway, this was the mid 90s, 94 to 95, where I was there for my first and second semesters, and I was a theater major. And I had an incident with the teacher. That's really all I'll say for right now. But I left the school. So I still wanted to pursue theater. I was having a hard time being in the classroom setting. I don't know, the dorm setting, everything just was very overwhelming. So I decided to try an acting conservatory. So I tried the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, which I was there for 2 semesters, 1 year. But they only accepted back like 10% of the students that they took for their first year to their second. So I did not make that cut. And then I went back and auditioned for the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, where I completed my 2 years. And then I went on to work in a traveling theater company that did a scripted slash improv show. So I just found the script because I was talking about the Sopranos from some videos that came up from like on this day on TikTok. And you guys remember like the mob wives trend and everything? Well, it was around that time. So these videos came up and I posted one talking about the Sopranos. So I'll tell you what happened back in 1999. So I'm very sentimental. I keep little things and then I look years later and I go, wow, I can't believe I kept this. So if you see my short video talking about The Sopranos and losing my chance to be on it, let me explain the full story here. So this is my beeper. This is my smart beep beeper from the 90s, the late 90s, that cost $1.99 a month, but you were only able to retrieve a message once. So if you did not have a pen and paper nearby, you were losing that message. So I got a beep and I went to the payphone at the AMDA school lounge. And I heard that it was someone from casting at The Sopranos, and I did not have a pen to write her number back. It was gone. The message was gone, and I lost my chance to be on The Sopranos. Thanks, Smart Beep, for $1.99 a month. You could have repeated the message once. Anywho, I was so upset, but a few months after graduation, I had auditioned for this theater company. Like I said, it was an improv traveling theater company, and we went around Long Island, New Jersey, and Connecticut to different catering halls or private parties to put on shows that were Italian and Jewish weddings, Italian and Irish weddings. And then they took on a few spoofs of like the Honeymooners and the Sopranos, called the SOAP, SOAP, Sopranos. So I was in all of these casts. It was a lot of improv, which was my absolute favorite part of the show. You got to interact with the audience and be funny. And improv, as an actor, if you get to do that and can do it well, it is such a gift. I think it is the only part of the whole acting, audition, whatever, performing process that I actually miss right now. So as it turns out, many of the actors that came to be in the cast on The Sopranos were actually in the background on the actual HBO Sopranos show, were the stand-ins for the actual lead actors on the show. And after I lost my chance, I never asked anyone within this theater company to get me on set to The Sopranos. I honestly just, it was enough with being in this spoof of a show. And then, just so you know, because I said I am from the city of Mount Vernon, which is where Sean Diddy Combs lived, and a few other famous people, one of them being Michael Imperioli. Yes, Christopher Moltisanti is from Mount Vernon, New York. Now, what I had stated in my video is that the script I had in my hand was revised in October of 2001. If you guys believe in kismet or any of that, my great grandmother passed away in October of 2001 in our home city of Mount Vernon, New York, where Michael Imperioli is from, where his grandmother passed away at the exact same time, and the wakes were in next door rooms at the famous Mount Vernon funeral home that seems to be the clubhouse where everyone meets up, because when someone in Mount Vernon passes away, everyone that knew them from Mount Vernon always shows up. So I got to talk to Michael Imperioli for a few minutes. I am 5 feet tall. Like I said, I was a short, tiny little dancer. He is well over 6 feet. It was a weird conversation to look up that tall, and have to have this conversation with someone that at the time was very, very famous, and he was very kind. I offered him my condolences. He offered his condolences. And it was just a brief chit chat, nothing life changing, nothing amazing. And thank you. Have a great day. Sorry for your loss and goodbye. And that is my Sopranos story. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And thank you for joining me for this little sneak peek into my life in the den. And if you have questions, please ask. I have no problem answering. I am the nerd who loves research. And if you do have any tips for me, please email me at welcometothedenpodcast@gmail.com. If you enjoy this content and even pettier content on my Hot Mess of Hollywood, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And thank you for joining me in the den.